Hey everyone. So everybody was wondering, why WWE, mostly, the fans as well, were making it such a big deal tonight that WWE was going old school, or was not going old school, but bringing back Saturday Night's Main Event. Everybody was curious about that. And honestly, the reason they were bringing it back mostly is because of the fact that it's not been seen in over, I think, 14 years or something. I think the last one was 2008, I believe. So it's been almost 14. It's been over 14 years this year. Oh, not 14. Must have been. It's been. Yeah, it's been about 10. No, it's been about 16 years. Yeah, 16. Sorry, it's late a little bit. I'm doing this while I can, while I got the opportunity, if you know what I mean. But anyway, everybody was wondering why make it such a big deal out of it. And the reason being is because they wanted to bring it back in a way that it was meant to be. Now, yeah, when they brought it back in the mid 2000s, that was great. But the thing is, they didn't make it feel special. They didn't, go all out for it, like they did here. Instead, they just made it basically a over-the-air PLE, if you will. Made it an over-the-air PLE pay-per-view. And so they did. They just made it basically an over-the-air PLE, and they just ended up using the same sets they were using for Raw and SmackDown at that time. The only thing they would do is add in the Saturday Night Main Event sign, and that's it. They didn't do anything else. They didn't change out the ropes that much. They only changed out the aprons, and so on. They didn't go all out like they should have, or like they did here, because what they did here, to give it that kind of nostalgic feel of, hey, this is something that is special and it's going to happen every quarter, and we're going to give you a reason to tune in. They didn't do that back in the mid 2000s, and sometimes Saturday Night's Main Event ended up being taped after a Raw and a SmackDown, and that's kind of what helped help it lose its luster, because people already knew what was coming on for that show because they would read the spoilers. So to see it be brought back in this manner, to where it's its own thing, it is basically, kind of calling back to what the show was originally, what brought it to the dance. I think was great. And they focused on what needed to be focused on to move current storylines, along. They focused on, the Drew McIntyre storyline that's going on right now. And him picking off everybody that that decided to realign with Roman, one by one until he gets to Roman, because that's the ultimate goal. And I think that goal, believe it or not, is gonna probably culminate at Elimination Chamber, if not at the Royal Rumble. I could see that, or I could see it culminating at the Saturday Night's Main Event before WrestleMania, because there's no PLE in March, so that would be like when the next Saturday Night's Main Event would come around, like before WrestleMania. So I could see it culminating there, or culminating at Mania if they don't have Rome, if The Rock doesn't, doesn't have the opportunity to do the match like they said he's going to do, and it seems that all evidence is pointing to that. But I think that's why, you know, um, that's why Drew is in this situation right now. The main goal is for him to get to Roman, and that's, I think, basically a backup just in case The Rock is not allowed or isn't allowed, no matter what he says he's able to do, to compete. Because Rock can come out and say, "Oh, nobody can tell me what to do. I'll be able to do this and that." But the truth is, he still has people he has to answer to, and in the end, there might be some people that he has to answer to that'll say, "No, you're not doing the match. You're not doing it whatsoever." So, we'll have to, we'll have to see what occurs down the line. We'll have to see what occurs down the line. But I think that's why Drew slotted into this situation to where he's either going to culminate with a match with Jay, because well, not just with Jay, but with CM Punk. Again, that's another, because again, it seems like they're going to revisit that. But now he has another reason to want to get at Punk. But I think we're getting Punk and Seth at WrestleMania, so That doesn't make sense. So my thought is either if he doesn't get Roman, because Roman goes with The Rock, or goes and faces The Rock, I think he's either going to get Solo, because Solo might turn face at that time, or he might get Jey Uso, which I think would be um, interesting in its own right. But I think either way, he's facing some member of the OG bloodline, maybe even the leader of the new bloodline, because of what's going on. Um, so yeah, basically that's kind of what this was. It was basically to help enhance the storylines. We had, like I said, the enhancement of Drew's storyline. We had the enhancement of Liv and Rhea's, and we're getting close to the end of that. We had the enhancement of Balor, Priest, and Gunther, and what's going to be next for them. And obviously, we're going to get another. Um, we're going to get a one-on. I think what's going to happen is we're going to get a one-on-one rematch between Gunther and Priest down the line. I think that's what they're building towards, and everything. I think that's what they're building towards, so that Gunther can get that outright win, one-on-one, on his own without any help over Damian. Even though he did pin Finn tonight, and get the clean win over both, he didn't pin Damian, clean. Damian wasn't the one he pinned cleanly. And after him kind of getting a little stiff and everything with them out of frustration, according to some people, for the way they were treating him, basically, yeah, I think we're going to that's probably going to lead to another one-on-one match, and that's when Gunther will get his clean win over Damian and pretty much put an end to this, to where now he doesn't have to, doubt himself. He's just saying, hey, I finally proved myself. I finally proved I can beat you clean, and that's it. And also what this does as well, this match, is it kind of continues that dissension that we're going to see on Monday between Finn and the Judgment Day, because obviously Finn's going to be thrown out, and Finn's either going to go to SmackDown, or Judgment Day is going to go to SmackDown, or we're going to have Finn get thrown out and he's going to become a babyface, and he's going to align with the likes of Damian and Rhea and basically admit his fault. Like, look, man, like, I can see something like that happen, to where he'll go up to them after he's thrown out and be like, look, I was wrong about you guys. I now understand why, from my own experience, why you want to take over take up the leader roles and all that. It says, now I get it. So I could see that happening if he doesn't, get kicked out, remain heel, and just go to SmackDown and be, stay a heel. I could see it. But that was an interesting story. That was interesting to see continue to build on. And then of course we have Chelsea and Michin for the women's to crown the first women's U.S. champion. There's obviously going to be a story being told there, where obviously we will get a rematch between the two. Both are one-on-one. Michin beat Chelsea in the dumpster match. Chelsea beat her in the finals. So obviously we got one more match between them. And I think that might be where Michin wins the championship, because I think what's going to happen is Aldous is going to say, hey, you're 1-for-1 against each other, and Piper had to kind of help you, not entirely, but she kind of had to help you win the championship against Michin. So I think Michin does deserve a rematch. And the story element there, the comedy that they can throw in there as well with Chelsea, is she'll do what she can to get out of it. Like maybe they'll have her pull a Chris Jericho, so where she'll pull out loophole after loophole after loophole, or come up with different excuses, make them look legitimate when they're not, just so she doesn't have to defend. Or she might even put a stipulation in the contract saying, hey, this stipulation states that if I won a singles title, I don't have to defend it if I don't want to, But we'll see what they do. We'll see what they have in store for that. But obviously, we are going to get one more match between them. And I think that's when we'll have a new champion crowned. I'll get to that in a moment. And then you had Cody and Kevin, which was for the Undisputed title. It's good to see Cody coming out with the old school belt. And the ending angle, which was shown off air, but everybody was filming it. WWE even covered it. That to me is leading to something, to where if you want Kevin Owens to be the Kevin Steen of WWE now, be Kevin Steen but under the Owens name, then obviously you gotta let him, in my opinion, you obviously gotta let him speak out. You got to let him pipe bomb, if you will. And I think, one of the things they would need to do is let him really go to town on, not just Cody, but on Triple H as well. But getting into it, I love the aesthetic. I love the fact they had Joe Tesoro, or if you will, and they had Jesse Ventura, you know, on the podium, just like in the old days when Jesse and Vince and Jesse, wearing the boa again, or the five boas, kind of, being the old Jesse back in the '80s. So I like seeing that. I love seeing Tesoro on the podium and everything. But there's one thing I want to correct people of. I don't think they ever had a podium, an actual like podium, if you will, with a mic and everything, where it said Saturday Night's Main Event. They just had them standing on a podium, that being Jesse, Vince, or Jesse and Gene. That's what they had. Um, but outside of that, it was good to see him back. Jesse still has it. Let's be honest, he still has it. If he can come back tomorrow or this Monday and be full time on Monday Night Raw, I think he can handle it. Well, maybe not all the 3 hours. Put him in there for at least, well, not all 2 hours or 3 hours, but put him in there for at least the last hour or maybe the last half hour or whatever. what AEW is doing with Jim Ross, as some people have suggested. But I liked it. I liked seeing him. It was great to see. I thought Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, because Pat did make a return. He got a full intro and everything. I thought was great. The atmosphere felt very nostalgic because they had the old school barricade, old school barricade for when the wrestlers were coming down. But of course it wasn't old school. It was a mixture of old school and new school, so I like that. I like how some of the wrestlers, like Gunther, were trying to put their hands up, like, "Hey, don't touch me," and all that. Kind of being heelish in that manner, but eventually the fans were able to touch them and everything, so that was cool. It wasn't the set, the intro set. The screen wasn't like all fabulous and everything like they would normally have. It was just a standard one like you would see at a house show, and that's how people viewed it, like a glorified house show, but with more importance. And it felt great. It felt really great and everything. They didn't turn the lights down like I think Jesse thought, like I think Ventura thought it would be. I mean, they turned them down a bit, but not much. And yeah, the show overall was great. Just terrific. Jesse was able to be Jesse, kind of be himself, get back into that role when he was helping to commentate for the main event. So it was good to see there. And he was also able to, I guess, go unscripted, if you will. So it was nice to see. Um, as far as the matches go, I think Drew and Sammy opening up was a good way to start things. Fans were really into it. And Drew ends up winning when he kind of suckers Sammy out, out to the outside, if you will, or he rolls to the outside. Sammy goes after him, and then he goes back in. And as soon as Sammy follows him in, he gets Claymored, and then that's it. And then they had this little backstage thing on WWE.com where Drew's like 1 down, 4 to go. And what he means by that basically is, okay, Sammy's down, Jimmy's next, or Jay's next, Jimmy's next when Jimmy's at 100%. And then Punk, and then that's it. And then it's off to Roman. But then again, he could mean, Jay, Jimmy, Punk, well, that's basically what he means. Like I say, he's got four to go. It's him. It's him. It's hold on for a second. I check since I just heard something. Oh, hold on. That was the sound of my soundbar going back to speaker, because after a while when you're not using it, it goes back to the speaker, so you have to put it back to the soundbar and everything, so I do apologize. Let me just check here, hold on. You just gotta give it time. There we go. Yeah, but like I said, he's got a little backstage thing that says 1 down, 4 to go. So that's Jimmy, Jay, Punk, and Roman. Now, obviously Roman's the goal. And like I said, if they don't have Roman against The Rock or Roman against Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania, then obviously Drew's going to be the Drew's going to be the match, going to be the backup plan. And if if not Roman for Drew, I think it might be Jo Solo. So we'll see what happens. Um, then we had the women's world title match, Liv against Io. It was not a long match, but it was good. Io got most of the offense in until she made a mistake going for the moonsault over the air moonsault that she does. Liv gets her feet up, and then this causes Io to go face first into the feet, and then fall back into the ropes where Liv hits Oblivion, gets the clean win. And then as she and Raquel and Dominic are going down the aisles, that Rhea Ripley's music hits, and then she confronts Liv. Liv holds up the championship, and I think that's basically our main event for either the last Raw on USA, which again which words going around that they have said that they're planning to go all out for the final Raw on USA from Houston. And if I'm Alex Hicks, I try to get some tickets to that because they plan to go all out. So you're probably looking at either the main event for that final Raw on USA in Houston between Liv and Rhea for the Women's Championship, or they're saving it for what they're making into a WrestleMania PLE, that being the first Raw on Netflix. So obviously it is leading to that, and I can't wait, and I know others can't wait for that either. Then we had the world title match, the triple threat. Again, as I mentioned, Gunther ends up retaining. A great triple threat between the three. Gunther basically towards the end, like I said earlier, was getting stiffed on apparently, and he just had enough. He legitimately grabbed Damien's dreadlocks, his braid, pulled him out, sent him up for a powerbomb onto the steps, and and had trouble at first, but then lifted him up and then powerbombed him down. And then he got in the ring and basically finished off Finn, if you will, with a powerbomb as well, and pinned him. But all three brought it. All three brought it during the match. Finn, got his offense in. Damien got his offense in. And again, I think we're going to get one more Damien Gunther match so that Gunther can get that vindication of, he can beat, Damien on his own and not, with assistance. So I think that's going to happen. And I also think we're going to get one more match with him and Balor, or if we don't, I think Balor's going to go to SmackDown, either a heel or a face, after he gets kicked out of the Judgment Day. And I think Balor's last day with the Judgment Day is not this Monday because, well, it could be this Monday, and what a Christmas gift, quote unquote, that would be. But I could see Balor's last day with the Judgment Day be either being the final Raw on USA in Houston, or I could see it being on the first Raw on Netflix. So between this Monday and the following Monday, which will be a Christmas edition of Raw, and then the final Raw on Netflix, if you will, which would be on New Year's Eve. I think New Year's, which would be on the eve before New Year's Eve. I think between these next couple of weeks could be Finn's last, the next couple of weeks, basically the next 4 Mondays, if you will. We're probably looking at Finn being kicked out either this Monday, the Monday before Christmas, or on the final Raw on USA. That's what I see happening. So be prepared for him to get kicked out and either go to SmackDown as a heel still, or become a babyface, align with Damien and Rhea, apologize for his actions, and basically come to an understanding like, okay, I understand why you guys took up the leadership roles in the group. So that could happen. But yeah, Gunther wins, and like I said, I think we're gonna get one more Gunther and Damien match so we can get that get vindicated with a clean win, and then I think Finn is going to be out of the Judgment Day within the next several Mondays, in my opinion. Then we had the crowning of the first ever Women's U.S. Champion between Chelsea Green and Michin. Thought it was a good match. I thought both women did, decent in the match. I like the acknowledgments to the history, with each other in TNA. I like how Michael Cole put over the fact that they were both Knockouts TV champions. I think, was there a Knockouts television championship? I gotta look. I think there was. I'm not really sure. But they were both Knockouts champions. I know that. And they were both Knockouts tag champs. So I like the acknowledgement to that. TNA getting a big shout out on national broadcasts, on one of the big over-the-air broadcast networks in NBC. So I like that, and I'm sure TNA does. So yeah, they got acknowledgement there. Good matchup. Piper tried to interfere at times. Tried to interfere. She did interfere successfully first time by hitting a black hole slam on Meechin on the outside, but that wasn't enough. And then she tried to interfere again, but that backfired. Meechin took them both out. And basically, the end came when Meechin went to the top, and she was going to get ready to hit, I think, Chelsea with something, one of her main finishers, and Piper ran interference, but it was enough of a distraction um, so that basically Chelsea could hit a super on Pretty Her, it's not called Unprettier, it's on Pretty Her, so it's Her at the end, and Chelsea ends up becoming the first women's U.S. champion. So that was that was good to see and everything. And then we had the main. That was good to see and everything. But like I said, basically, I think we're going to get a rematch between the two, probably on a future SmackDown, probably the last SmackDown of the year or the first SmackDown of the new year, or I could see it happening on the first Raw on Netflix. We're going to get a rematch, and I think that's when the title might change. And if not, I think that's when we'll see a turn on someone, and I think that turn will be on Chelsea, because Chelsea's getting organically over with the crowd. The crowd loves her, so it only makes sense to make her to go with that and make her the baby face and make Piper the heel if they're going to do that. But I see basically another match happening between the two, and then I see a betrayal happening afterwards if Chelsea retains. Then we had the main event for the undisputed title between Owens and Cody Rhodes. Really great to see, and Cody of course came out wearing, because they posted a video of this the day before, where Triple H, it was like a little trailer, like a little teaser trailer of what's to come for Saturday Night's Main Event, and Triple H took Cody over to this case, it's a belt case apparently, and he says, one night only. He says, got something special for you, but it's for one night only. He acknowledges how everything's going to go retro somewhat, for the presentation tonight, that was tonight, and he says, hey, it's for one night only, basically telling him, don't even think about trying to petition or wanting to see this be a permanent fixture. It's just for one night only because of the nostalgic feel. And Cody, he opens up the case in this video. You see some gold light shine upon him. He looks up at the camera, kind of smirks, shuts the case, shuts and locks the case, carries it with him. We see him get the case as he was coming off of his bus today to enter the Coliseum. And we find out that what he was given for one time only was this, the Wing Eagle belt. That's right. He was able to basically wear this to the ring for the match. So that was kind of cool to see, and it's kind of cool to see Charles Robinson, which, oh by the way, all the referees, including Jessica Carr, were all wearing the powder blues, just like in the old days. But it was nice to see, Charles Robinson hold it up like that as well. So that was kind of cool. Everybody was hoping that this would happen because Cody had been petitioning to bring it back. Well, that petition paid off, even though it's for one night only. Match was good between him and Owens and everything. Match was good. Owens at the end tried to go, and one of the things that was the story of the match was the ankle that Cody had injured or semi-injured by Chad Gable in their match a couple weeks ago. So that was the story. And in the end, Kevin, because you had like one or two referee bumps. After the second referee bump, Kevin went to the outside, grabbed a chair, went to go swing it on Cody, but Cody ducked. Was able to, basically Cody ducked, caught Kevin in the crossroads, looked at the chair, and crossroad him onto the chair, that being Owens, and pinned him. And Robinson had to stand up from the outside and pound on the mat like that for it to be over. And Jesse basically pointed out in the match, Jesse Ventura pointed out, he used the chair, basically saying Cody cheated. And even JD from NY206 on Off the Script pointed out, and he capitalized the word cheated, to win. But Cody had made it known that he was not going to hold back himself when it came to this matchup. So yeah, Cody ends up retaining, but what happens afterwards, and this was getting plastered all over social media, Kevin Owens, after the show goes off, Cody's on the mic, talking to the crowd, when Kevin attacks him from behind, and hits him with something that we never thought we'd see him hit him with in WWE. He hit him with a package pile driver. Yeah, that's right. He hit Randy Orton with a regular pile driver. This one, which was not the package pile driver, but it was a regular one. This one was, this one though was the pile driver he's been known for outside of WWE. So he hit him with a package pile driver, and then you have all the attendants, people coming to Cody's aid. Cody's getting stretchered out, put on a board, stretchered out for precaution, because that's what they got to do. Because the potential of injuries or the stinging that it might result in. And Owens then takes this belt, wraps it, puts it over his shoulder, and walks out with it. And he's just walking up to the ramp, holding it like this. Out comes Triple H, and he gets in Owens' face. He pushes him at first. Owens pushes back. Owens it causes the belt to drop into the ground. Owens grabs it. Triple H is yelling, "Get him to the back!" Like, what the hell is wrong with you? What's going on? I mean, that's what Triple H. I mean, you could hear that audible in the WWE presentation of the confrontation between them, because he's looking at Owens, going like, "What's wrong with you?" and everything. What's gotten into you? And Owens, he's walking off with this, in tow. So, yeah, basically that's what was on social media. And I know some people don't like the idea that WWE is doing that, but if you will, it's being done for social media views, but also it's to get people to tune in. Like if you do something off air, that you would think they would say for television, you do it off air, it's going to get people to tune in the following Friday or Monday to find out what the condition of the champion and stuff. And as some people said, when you're involving someone like Triple H in this, basically you're opening up the floodgates for this to be a bigger story than what it is. And what it will result in, we don't know. It could result in a rematch on the first Raw on Netflix, or it could result in a match between them on the first SmackDown of the new year. If not, maybe at the Royal Rumble. We shall see. But I think it's going to be either the first SmackDown on USA for 2025 or the first Raw on Netflix. That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, that's what they did at the end. And if I'm WWE, if I'm Triple H and WWE, I let Kevin Owens, I let Kevin Owens get the mic, and I let him go to town. I let him get on the mic, and I let him shoot. I let him do like a work shoot, whatever. Just let him go to town. Don't censor him or anything. Let him go to town. Let him call out Triple H for, being a hypocrite himself, for basically, skyrocketing Cody to the top because Cody helped build this other company that was a viable threat to WWE, and that the only reason they're skyrocketing Cody is because, they want to shove it in the other company's owner's face, or in the face of the other promotion's owner's face, if you will, to say, hey, could have been yours if you didn't screw up. So, I think if they let him do something like that, have him call Triple H out for it, if you will, and everything, and even call Cody out for being a coward, for not just staying there and, maybe using the power he had as an EVP to offset the decision made to where he wouldn't challenge for the belt. I think if you allow, Owens to do all that, be real, I think you can have something special along the way. And you can also incorporate Sammy into this as well, because I think that's what we're also leaning towards. I mean, obviously you're going to do one more Sammy-Drew McIntyre match down the line where, Sammy will get his win back, and I think Jey Uso is going to help out. So I think that's what's going to happen. That might happen on the last Raw in USA, in just my opinion, which would lead to, Drew having a match with either Jay or somebody, maybe Jimmy on the first Raw in USA, but we'll see. But yeah, I think Sammy will get his win back, and I think they're going to move Sammy over to face. I think they're going to move, they're going to move Sammy over to feud with Kevin over this whole situation, because when Kevin gets done with Cody, obviously Sammy will be next on that list. And you know what? I would not be surprised if maybe you got this going on with Kevin, you got the other thing going on with, with Drew, and stuff. You know, I'm not I'm not going to be surprised if maybe they create some kind of alliance across brands to basically go after those that have aligned themselves with the bloodline, you know, because of Roman's actions over the past few years. And you know, again, I would not be surprised if that happens and everything. I mean, some people are joking, hey, we might get a new version of the Shield with Drew and Kevin and Seth. But I think basically you're going to have maybe an alignment just between Drew and Kevin across both brands to take out anybody that's aligned themselves with the bloodline, the OG bloodline, and maybe even some members of the new bloodline, because they don't want no bloodline. They don't want the Samoan or Tongan dynasty running roughshod across the company. So I could see that happening eventually. But yeah, Kevin and Cody, I think they got one more match in them. Got another match in them, and I think it's either going to happen on the final SmackDown of the year, or the first SmackDown of the year, or it might happen on the first Raw of the new run on Netflix. But we'll have to see. But overall, I thought the return to Saturday Night's Main Event after 16 years away, I thought was good. I like the old school feel, you know. So yeah, gotta give to WWE for going all out for this. One thing I will point out, and I pointed this out in several super chats, and you know, towards Alex and towards JD and Solomonster, and they all had different reactions. Alex, when I told him this, he would like, he had this almost look of anger, like he pointed to his face, and then he whispers, you know, something. He whispers in the mic something of, you know, you didn't say a word, you know, or something like that. And then he mentioned in another super chat I made to him, oh yeah, they're never going to do that again. And basically what I was pointing out to them is essentially, and Solomonster kind of didn't know. He had to be reminded by others. And then I pointed out in the super chat, you know, the reminder of this is, you know, the event that I was talking about. Basically, what it was is that Saturday Night's Main Event, which people looked at as a glorified house show, outsold by over 4,000 tickets last year's AEW World's End. Yeah, World's End, which this year is going to be in a smaller venue in Orlando on the same night as a WWE house show. And what does that tell you? If a glorified house show, Saturday Night's Main Event, sells out 4,000 more tickets than World's End did last year in the same venue, what's that say for what's going to happen within the same vicinity, you know, the same city, same night as World's End in Orlando, and a house show, a live event for WWE as part of the holiday tour, post-Christmas holiday tour? What does that tell you? Not a good sign. But yeah, I told them basically they outsold it, because World's End last year only had like 10,000 plus people. This Saturday Night's Main Event, glorified house show, 14,000 plus. Not good. Not good. And even JD mentioned, yeah, I was there and it was boring as hell. And he was there with Andrew Baydella. And then Solomonster, when he read it, it's like, yeah, that's what happens when one product's hot and one product is ice cold. You know, so again, when I look at that, I also look at the fact that they're going to be competing on the same night in a few weeks. One being a house show, WWE in Orlando at the Kia Center, and the other being at a smaller venue for AEW World's End. If a glorified house show can outsell, you know, by 4,000, almost 5,000 tickets more than World's End, not even a year later, from AEW, what does that tell you upcoming for, you know, World's End and going up against that house show? I'm just saying. You know, I'm just saying. But overall, outside of that, I thought it was good. They do have another one coming up in January, which a lot of people feel is a little too quick, but if it's a quarterly thing, it makes sense. And it's going to be in San Antonio. It's going to be a week before the Rumble, and I think that will be it won't be as, I'll put it this way, I think it'll be a good show, but I don't think it'll be as extravagant as this one. It will have an old school feel, but I also feel what's going to happen is they're going to use it to build more towards the Rumble. That's what I think. I think you're going to have some important matches that connect to the Rumble, some championships on the line, but I think it's going to be utilized more to build to the Royal Rumble than anything else. But outside of that, I thought it was good. If I was to give it a rating, I would say it's a rating of 7 out of 10. I know that might be high in some people's eyes, but I thought it was a good, you know, return tonight. And can't wait to see how they, you know, improve on this going forward. for future Saturday Night's Main events in 2025. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Let me know what your thoughts were on Saturday Night's Main Event. How did you feel about its return? What did you like about it? What do you see coming out of it? And what did you think of the fact that a glorified health show outsold an AEW pay-per-view not even a year later? I mean, it's the same month that the pay-per-view happens, but it's not even been a year since, last year's happened. I think 2024 is when a year is going to happen. But still, let me know what your thoughts are. Comment below, like the video, ring the bell for notifications, subscribe to the channel, click on the link to find my content elsewhere, as well as click on the link to my Teespring store for merchandise you can't get anywhere else. Get yourself something nice for Christmas there. And also check out my DeviantArt page at DeviantArt.com at BVW1979. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are, and until then, I'm out.